Okay, now we're going to take a look at basic email and web security. And both of these are important for forensics because knowing the types of tricks that people play is going to help you do your investigations and find out a lot of information on clients and find a lot of information about a computer that you're investigating. So what we're going to do is talk about why people are so easily tricked, characteristics of scam emails, talk about attachments. And attachments are something you're going to actually find during your investigations. Can you click on a link? Helpful features built into web browsers, tools that you can add to web browsers, the values and limitations of antivirus software, and miscellaneous cautions, tips, and tricks. So here you have side-by-side websites. On the left is K-State Federal Credit Union, and this is the legitimate website. On the right is a fake K-State Federal Credit Union website. So they look pretty much identical. Of course, you see down at the bottom there's a little bit of difference, but you know, sometimes on a daily basis these things change just a little bit. Okay, notice that on the phony website they tell you that they've just introduced stronger security. That's kind of actually setting you up to think that it's okay when you type in your username and password on that site because maybe they're going to ask you for it or something. I don't know. So beware anytime someone says stronger security. So here's an email. And you can see in the from field that Kansas State University, but it does say online update at k-state.edu. So you can actually see that in the from line, it looks like in the from line to be a legitimate email address. However, when you look at the body, it says a scheduled maintenance has just been completed, blah, blah, blah. And you'll be required to immediately re-log in. Kindly link of the login. So there's a link to your login from within the email. So this is always a bad idea for users. Never click a link to log in from within an email. So this is called spearPhishing scam, and it was actually received by Kansas State students in January of 2010. It tries to trick you into providing private information like a password or bank account information. Spearphishing targets a specific population, in this state Kansas State email users. Notice that, as I said before, it looked like the from field was perfectly legitimate. However, it wasn't. You need to be careful that even if you look at that and it looks okay, that doesn't mean it is. Okay. Had you clicked in it, though, you would have seen that it doesn't go to the K-State Credit Union. It goes to this thing called flushandflues.nl. Okay, of course, then there's the path past that. And it does sort of lead you astray. It says signin.k-state.edu. And that's just a folder. That really doesn't have anything to do with the domain. Whoever designed this put that there on purpose so that you would think it's kstate.edu. So the malicious link in the email took you to an exact replica of K-State's single sign-on webpage hosting on a server in the Netherlands, which will steal your ID and password if you enter it. So there are some dead giveaways like the domain where you go, but still the fact that you clicked an email link to log in somewhere was a very bad mistake that you should never do. So here's a comparison of the fake and the real web page to sign in. Okay, the bottom one is the real one. The top one is the fake one. They look identical. And you should not be fooled to think that someone took a long time to clone this. There are actually utilities that will go and scrape any kind of website or any kind of website part. So really, it probably took them all of 15 minutes to get this website up, this fake website up and running. It's just not hard to do. Notice the URL line for each one of them. The fake one, flushandflues.nl, so you can easily see it's not the correct kstate.edu, which you see in the bottom one. signin.k-state.edu. Okay, also, the bottom one has HTTPS and the top one does not. HTTPS being secure sockets, and the top one just being in plain text, unencrypted. That's another clue. Anytime you're going to sign in, you always have to look for HTTPS. Okay, so you can actually see here that they both have this EID, K-State secure site, click to verify. So what you can actually do is click that to verify the website. And it actually should take you to a verification page. So once you click the verification badge on the legitimate K-Site website, it brings you to this. And it shows you all the information you need in order to verify that you truly are on the correct website. It's got contact information. I'm a little surprised it didn't have the source IP address. I'm a little surprised it doesn't show the source IP address. But it shows the refer, https://eid.kstate.edu and so forth. Here is probably the most effective spear phishing scam. So this is saying that the message is from ksu.edu, IT help desk, and so forth. And it's telling you that the webmail account has been compromised by spammers, and really letting you be all scared about your email address and stuff. And it's actually pretty typical even today for people to somehow get their email addresses hacked, and it's sending out on their behalf these spam emails. But notice that the reply to is helpdesk.support at quidad.com.ar. So it has nothing to do with k-state.edu. It really should be replying to kstate.edu instead of instead of this .ar address, instead of this .ar domain. Okay, so that's a really big clue. Not only that, you just don't want to get involved in sending your ID, password, and alternate email to this address. Okay, so that's what they're asking you to do, to send your ID, password, and email to them. Once they have it, they'll log in as you, change your password, and you'll be completely owned. So here are the clues. KSU.edu webmail. It tells you where it's from. IT help desk. It's scaring you by saying that the webmail account has been compromised by spammers. And now it's asking you for your ID, and it's letting you know that it's from the webmail administrator. And all of this, of course, is fake, but they're doing that so that you are going to fall for it. That's what they're trying to do. But notice it says ksu.edu instead of k-state.edu. Notice it's telling you they're going to upgrade their email security. There actually are quite a few clues here. It wants you to reply to this, send your email, your ID, your password, your alternate email. So for that email scam, at least 62 replied with passwords, 53 of which were used to send spam from K-State's webmail. So this arrived at a time when newly admitted freshmen were getting familiar with their K-State email. 37 of the 62 victims were newly admitted freshmen. So note characteristics that make it appear legitimate. The from header looks realistic, helpdesk@k-state.edu. The subject uses familiar terms, ksu.edu webmail, account update. The message body also references realistic terms, IT Help Desk, webmail, ksu.edu, K-State, and so forth. But then it asks for K-State EID and password. It's a plausible story, and that's why it works so often. So here's another effective spear phishing scam. So here again we have asummers@k-state.edu, that's the from field, which looks legitimate. Now, if you remember when we talked about email headers, that can actually be faked. And it can be faked if you're programming your own email client. You can actually put in there whatever you want. Okay, so this is actually telling you that they're going to go through a regularly scheduled maintenance, which sounds pretty plausible, happens all the time. But then it says to ensure you don't experience service interruptions, you need to apply the email immediately, confirming your email account details. So that's where you're going to get in trouble when you give first and last name. That's not so bad. Even full login email address isn't too bad, but ID number, username, and password, confirm your current password, that's pretty bad. And then they scare you at the bottom. Failure to do this may automatically render your email account deactivated from the mail server. So this is actually a pretty effective email. So here are the clues. asummers@k-state.edu. Remember we said that could be faked. So how to identify a scam? General principles. Neither IT support staff nor any legitimate business will ever ask you for your password in an email. And here again, I wouldn't even give it to them over the phone, because lots of times there's people who do social engineering will ask you for a password over the phone. They'll call you on the phone and say that they are IT support. They need to test out your login. Can you give them their password? So use common sense and logic. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. Think before you click. Many have fallen victim due to a hasty reply. Be paranoid. I might not go too far on that, but you still need to be very, very cautious. Don't be timid about asking for help from your IT support person or the IT help desk. Most of the time there's a number you can call and ask if something's legitimate. Characteristics of a scam email: poor grammar and spelling. A lot of times this happens just because, let's face it, people who are doing this aren't necessarily from the highest echelons of grammar usage. The reply to or from address is unfamiliar, or is not a ksu.edu or k-state.edu address. Just be careful there, especially. Uses unfamiliar or inappropriate terms like send your account information to the mail control unit. Okay, it asks for private information like a password or account number. The message contains a link where the displayed address differs from the actual web address. It is unexpected. Okay, it does not provide explicit contact information for you to verify the communication. Good example is spearphishing scam that tries to steal your ID. Password is signed webmail administrator. Here's more about how to identify a scam. Beware of scams following a major news event or natural disaster. For instance, Hurricane Katrina, asking for donations, looking like a Red Cross maybe. Seasonal scams like special Christmas offers, IRS scams in the spring. They take advantage of epidemics or health scares like H1N1 scam last year. They often pose as legitimate entity. PayPal, for sure, I get those all the time. Banks, FBI, IRS, Walmart, Microsoft, etc. If unsure, call the company to see if they sent it. Hackers are very good at imitating legitimate email. They will use official logos. Some links in the email will work properly, but one link is always going to be malicious. Many make sensational claims. Remember to apply the sense filter. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. From the too good to be true class of scams. 3 Kansas State students fell for this one in August. Fortunately, none lost money, although 2 might have if alert bank tellers didn't catch the counterfeit checks. Okay, so here's what it looked like. From School Job Alert, richard.incorporation@gmail.com. So already you want to be suspect that it's from an outside address. To eid@ksu.edu, subject part-time job offer for student currently in U.S. Okay, so work from home, earn $300 a week, and you've seen these before. And you know the bell has to go off even when you see something like this. So here's the sort of here's the email if you did actually reply to that. I hereby inform you that the check will arrive. They always promise you these checks. You'll need to send the money, and so a lot of these scams, they're promising you a big check if you'll send them a small check of some sort. And I knew a guy in North Carolina. Poor guy. He fell for the Nigerian scam twice. The first time I think he sent him like $3,500 or something. And they were going to send him like millions. And then he called me up when he got a second email like that, and I said, look, you can't do this. This is a scam. But you know, greed overwhelms people, and so he fell for the second time. So there are useful sources of information. You can do a Google search. A lot of times, you know, very soon after you get these email scams, you'll be able to do a Google search and find them. There are websites that actually keep track of these, irs.gov/privacy, so forth. Snopes, who sometimes is good at debunking things. I have my doubts about Snopes, so for other things, but it's worth a try. Teach yourself with Sonic Wall's phishing and spam IQ quiz, and you can go to this URL here and take that quiz. And most universities have their own security website, and they're going to update this with scams that are going out. So now we get into the whole topic of attachments. So never open an email attachment you were not expecting. Even if you have really good antivirus software, you don't want to do it. Don't open it if it's from someone you don't know. Don't open it if it's someone you don't know. Don't open it if it's someone you know but weren't expecting them to send you a file. Okay, so their actually system might be owned by some malicious process that's sending out emails on their behalf. So this is especially true if the content of the email message is brief, vague, or somehow unusual. So let's take a look. Should you trust this email? The subject, security. Please print and post to security@listserv.educause.edu. Okay, please print and pass on the attached brochure. Feel free to invite others to attend. Okay, so there's a PDF that's attached. And would you open this? Well, do you know the person? Well, it's been, so do you know the person? Well, you may or may not. But this is a very, very unusual, this is a very, very unusual email. So you really should definitely take serious pause when it comes to opening this attachment. So you might not know the sender. It's a very brief and vague instructions. PDF files actually can carry malicious code. Now, Adobe has gotten a lot better about patching their PDFs, but it might be an older PDF created with older software. So you want to ignore or delete it if it's not expected or important. It's not worth the risk. And I have a personal anecdote. Once about 10 years ago, my agent's secretary sent me an email with a Word document attachment. And so, you know, coming from my agent's secretary, I figured, well, it's not a big deal. So I opened it, and sure enough, my antivirus software went off and said that it was a Word document. And you know how a lot of times they have the macros in them. This was 10 years ago anyway, before really there were a lot of hard stops on this. So my antivirus came up and said it was infected. And in about 30 minutes, she sent an email to everybody saying that don't open it. So you really have to be careful, even if it's someone you know and it's maybe looks okay to open. For sure, beware of executable files embedded in zips. That's a very common way to send EXEs to people. They do that, and then you double-click the EXE within the zip, and it does something nasty. If there's any reason to believe it might be legitimate, validate the attachment before opening it. You can contact the sender and ask them, and they'll be fine. If it's a legit email, they say, yeah, that attachment is fine. Ask your IT support person. You can test it with an antivirus software. And so those are really good ways to mitigate the threat.